talk about one of the most underestimated art movements of all time. Especially if you live in the West, you've probably not heard about it, because it was created by the enemy during the Cold War. While in the US, Jackson Pollock was sporadically throwing paint onto the canvas, the Soviets were building a new world. Socialist realism was an art movement that was both brutally enforced and also weirdly genuine. It shaped the dreams of an entire generation, but also distorted reality. From the utopian images of a radiant future to some underground works, art was used to build a world that didn't really exist. The movement emerged in the 1930s under Stalin. It wasn't just a style. It was the only acceptable art in the USSR for decades. All sculptures, paintings, even novels and films had to follow its rules. The Soviet government had a censorship bureau. Glavlit's functions went beyond simple deletion of unwanted content. It actively shaped the ideological spin of all published material. This included pre-publication review and post-publication censorship. Forget abstract art or surrealism, anything that was a little too experimental was banned. Artists had to show strength, joy, and progress, even if that wasn't what they saw outside their window. The goal was to inspire. Show the Soviet Union not necessarily as it was, but as it should be. A worker's paradise. A world without struggle, or where struggle is a good thing, because it's a collective struggle towards something greater. Everyone is happy, productive, and, most importantly, loyal to the party. Artists were also required to glorify the unity and progress of the Soviet republics. Paintings and posters celebrated how previously delayed republics became progressive parts of the USSR, depicting Kyrgyz, Uzbek, Lithuanian, and others as modern and thriving communities. In Russian textbooks and literature materials, there were always pictures celebrating this unity. A standout example was Daughter of the Soviet Kyrgyzia by Semyon Chuikov, showing a sturdy young Kyrgyz woman walking across the steppe under blue skies, symbolizing the transformation of Kyrgyzstan into a Soviet success story. So why did this illusion matter so much? For the Soviet regime, art was a weapon. If people saw a bright future every day in posters, murals, paintings, they might start to believe it, or at least pretend to. The movement was characterized by a few distinct features. The colors are bright and vivid. There's no darkness, no ambiguity. Everything glows with positivity. New Moscow by Yuri Pimenov shows a woman as she drives a car through a sunlit modern city, symbolic of progress and the bright future. The central figures are always workers, farmers, soldiers, and scientists. No elites or aristocrats. Textile Workers by Alexander Deineka shows strong, focused women working at the textile machines, shown as capable and dignified contributors to the industry. The Harvest by Viktor Ivanov shows robust farmers gathering golden wheat under a vast sky, expressing the land and its people in harmony. Composition-wise, subjects are often shown in large, monumental scale. They're presented from low angles to make them look bigger and more powerful. The artists also use diagonal lines and upward movement to suggest progress, motion, and rising towards a better future. Worker and Kolkhoz Woman by Vera Mukhina shows a colossal male worker and female farmer stride forward with the hammer and sickle held high, frozen mid-motion, full of energy and power. Honestly, factory workers were painted like Greek gods, muscular, smiling, radiant, even though in reality the job was exhausting. In the relay race by Deineka, female athletes in white uniforms pass batons in a dynamic diagonal composition. You can see the body in motion, youth in harmony, and the nation in progress. Figures with flawless skin, strong outlines, and well-defined muscles, often glowing with health and determination. Women are often portrayed with stoic or idealized expressions, no softness, sadness, or nuance. The message is very clear. In The Interrogation of the Communist by Boris Yoghanson, we see that even under threat, the communist hero maintains dignity. Genre pictures exemplify socialist realist genre scenes, not staged portraits, but everyday people in hopeful action. Even poverty, if shown, is sweet poverty, a transitional phase on the way to prosperity. Like Tuanov's A Letter from the Front captures a warmly lit, hopeful moment during wartime, rather than despair. This wasn't just propaganda. It was emotional control, a reality replacement. And the strangest part is that many artists believed in it too. They were building something bigger than themselves. Of course, not everyone bought into the dream. Some artists painted what they really saw: despair, silence, and frustration. These works, of course, were banned, hidden somewhere, or destroyed. One haunting example is Head Against the Wall by Golopolosov. It's raw, desperate, and nothing like the idealized images of proud workers. Golopolosov was a Russian artist who immigrated to the US and made his art there. That's why he had such boldness in depicting his opinions on the Soviet regime. The unofficial or outsider artists really risked their freedom to show a different side of the Soviet life, one that didn't make it onto the posters. In many of my videos, I've spoken about how art reflects reality, but actually, throughout history, we see that art also shapes reality, especially under controlled conditions. Socialist realism wasn't just about art, it was about belief. About convincing millions of people not just to obey, but to dream the dream that they were given. And when reality didn't match the dream, the image won. Even today, some people miss this world, not because it was real, but because it felt like it could be. As someone once said, nostalgia for the USSR is not nostalgia for the past, it's nostalgia for an unfulfilled future. Thank you so much for watching. I really enjoyed speaking about this movement. It's one of my favorite movements of all time, and I'm sure I'm going to make more videos about it. Please let me know other topics that you'd like me to discuss on this channel, and I hope to see you in the next video.